Yeah, today I had a opportunity to talk to some veterans out here and in Florida. I was making a trip from Texas, and one thing I noticed is we talk about Memorial Veterans Memorial Weekend, and it's crazy. Sometimes just speaking to some of these veterans, the first thing they tell me is that coming out of the service, they have a hard time transitioning. And I ask myself, why do we have to transition, from military to civilian? Sometimes you think, you'll be welcome home and uh, and uh, and not have a problem finding work, not having a problem with family. It should be smooth transition, but it's not. And I think one of the problems is that society does not make it easy for veterans. For example, when they come out, they try to find work, and they can't. Sometimes, uh, if they come out with some type of disability, receive some type of disability from the government, but sometimes that's not enough to, help them with their transitioning because they're moving from probably one state to the other, trying to find work, so they try to get food stamp, and they sometimes have to go out and try to get services, but they're denied. Say you make too much income, or your last income from the military was too much, so you don't qualify. Um, Spend years trying to work with vet and hearing their voices, listening to some of their concern. That was one of the reasons um, becoming a mental health counselor in the state of Florida was basically to to understand some of the concerns of these vets. And um, all of our service, most of our service, was always it was giving free services to some of these vets to try to help them with getting work and so forth. My main point is Memorial Day, and I asked myself um, if some of the vets that had put themselves on the line and now they're not here today, we say that we honor them. I wonder what they would have to say to some of the vets that are struggling out here, that are um, they trying to make a living and they can't. They are homeless. Can I tell you how many veterans are actually living in poverty? Um, one of the things I tell vets is trying to market that voice, and the way I tell them is try to go to school and do something that you can find helpful to transition into that society. And if you can't, I try to open up opportunities for them as far as creating business proposals and so forth, so that they can open up their own business. Sometimes it's very hard, and because society doesn't sometimes have the tools to help veterans. A lot of services, by the time you get to them, uh, they are met. You have to be almost have nothing, meaning poverty, no income. And it's sad that you hear the term "thank you for serving," "thank you for serving your country," but really it's behind. When going to a job interview, thank you for serving your country, whether it's at the grocery store. But a lot of times, what I'm finding is a lot of vets tell me uh, they told me I'm overqualified. They also told me that uh, it felt like it's like saying thank you for your country, but at the same time, uh, what they hear in response, underneath the lines of sorry, your skills does not transfer to the civilian sector. Vets are really having a hard time, and the only thing I can say on Memorial Day, I wonder, you know, a lot of times, you know, I wonder if society, people are really meaning what they say. When was the last time you went out and check up on a veteran, call him up, see how he's doing? And is it only on Memorial Day or Veterans Day? Memorial Day is actually meant to honor those who had passed in combat, but you know, I think Veterans Day should be every day. You know, I think that like we always have this saying in the service, is a privilege and it's not a right. But it's interesting that when you look on the news, how many vets are in prison because mental illness. You remember that veteran over there at Fort Lauderdale that flew in from Colorado? One of the things they stated was he was out there, you know, asking for help. Just something to think about. You know, some of these vets doing some stuff out there. That's what they say. But if next, something to think about. When you come from combat and you're crying out for help, you go to the feds, you go to the state, you say, hey, look, I'm hearing voices. And then suddenly doors are being closed to you. They say, hey, you look, you know, you'll be all right. And then this vet goes out into the community and start acting crazy and do some stuff. You ask yourself, how can I, you know, could that have been avoided? I want you to think, you know, it's a lot of veterans out here, a lot of vets. And I was just speaking to one right here. I'm over here speaking to, it's not just veterans, it's veterans' families, actually. It's not just, you know, veterans going through a lot of stress, but it's their families as well. And I just have to ask the question, how much, you know, when the next time you say thank you for serving your country, how much do you really mean that? When the last time you actually tried, I'm talking to employers, try to help some of these veterans that's coming knocking at your door that really need some help. Some of these agencies that really say, I'm sorry, we can't help you, you're over income. And then the veteran goes out there trying to transition and can't really make it. You know, when was the last time you really tried to help a veteran in need? I think it'll be a better society when we really start meaning what we say. So if you really don't mean it, don't say it. Thank you for serving your country, because behind that thank you should be an act of appreciation. And there are a lot of people that really mean it, and they have action behind their words. Something to think about, you know. My name is BJ. It was nice just, you know, just hearing some of your concerns, and together I guess we can, you know, voice our opinion. Talk. Peace out.